Good afternoon, my Real News Media TV family. Welcome back to the channel for another news update for November 2, 2023. And in the news this afternoon, KSAMC acts in post-earthquake assessments to demolish derelict structures starting Sunday. 2 derelict buildings in downtown Kingston that partially collapsed during the 5.6 magnitude earthquake that rattled the island 3 days ago will be demolished on Sunday. We had posted the relevant notices to give the owners and occupiers 48 hours to demolish. Failure to do so, the city will carry out a demolition exercise. City engineer for the Kingston and the St. Andrew Municipal Corporation, Xavier Chevans, told the news. The buildings, which are located on Church Street, are the first in an assessment that Chevans said the KSAMC would be carrying out to determine the extent of the damage caused to the buildings downtown, to see which ones we can also put on the list to be demolished based on the structural integrity. The assessment is expected to be completed over 2 weeks. While he was unable to provide a figure on the number of derelict buildings downtown, he noted that not all the older buildings in the area are compromised. Chevans pointed out that it is the owners of the building who have a responsibility to demolish them, and that one owner was served a notice before the earthquake on Monday. However, this authority has been defaulted to the KSAMC as they received no acknowledgement to the notices. He shared that 2 earthquakes over the last 2 months have increased its urgency to address the situation. We are not looking at it only from an earthquake perspective, because when you have heavy precipitation, these also will compromise the structures. So had this earthquake occurred last week when we had the heavy rains, the results probably would be different, he said. The prevalence of dilapidated buildings in the busy town is once again being spotlighted after Jamaica experienced what is arguably its most significant earthquake in 3 decades, with the president of the Masters Builders Association, Len Worth Kelly, arguing that bulldozing them could save lives in the event of a stronger earthquake. A lot of times you check earthquakes, people die in the buildings or die from stuff falling off buildings, he said. Kelly added that many of the buildings downtown are very old and were built below the standard that currently exists. Therefore, he contends demolishing them is the best precautionary measure. We tend not to be so motivated to spend the money to create a safety. We tend more to want to spend the money to respond rather than to spend the money to be proactive, he said. 63-year-old Donald McNaught sells pets on Tower Street, downtown Kingston, and stores his wares in a renovated area of one of the buildings that is scheduled to be demolished. He is hoping that that area will be spared. My pot a building firm, unless them go take off the pot and give me the little pot so like how it refurbished. That demolition good still. He told the news, sharing that he knows the danger the building poses. Chairman of the Scientific Research Council, Dr. Paris Lou Ahi, also shared similar sentiments. We are preserving old buildings downtown that are just shells because they have some kind of heritage value, collecting garbage and whatever. But what's the issue? You either preserve it and accept responsibility when something happens, or you knock it down and put up a proper structure, he assessed. Stating that assessments are necessary, he urged the KSAMC to give value to expert opinion. You're going to need to rely on the engineers, proper engineers, and not politicians, and not people with their own opinions to do this type of thing, he said. But just as important as demolishing old derelict buildings, Kelly contends, is the need to ensure that the newer ones that are currently being built are up to standard. He believes more oversight is needed to ensure this. The regulators are to ensure that they inspect every step of the way and sign off to say, yes, we approve this. This the amount of steel, this is the type of concrete, and so on, and sign off so the public can say, yes, this building is built properly and is safe, he said, while questioning whether the expertise exists in the island's parish councils to perform these assessments. The Building Act of 2018 outlines the standards for the construction of buildings. However, the regulations that would allow for its enforcement are still not in place. Chevans, in the meantime, laments the resource constraint of the KSAMC, which he said hampers their work. When I speak about resources, we are not only speaking about human resources in terms of manpower, but we also speak in terms of monetary resources to undertake these works because these works require funding, he said. 2 shot, 1 fatally in St. Elizabeth bar. 2 men were shot, 1 fatally by a gunman at a bar in Oxford, St. Elizabeth on Tuesday night. The deceased is a 36-year-old construction worker, Dwayne Newman, of Spring Park in the parish. Reports are that about 8:20 p.m., the 2 men were inside the bar when an armed man entered and opened gunfire at them. He then fled the scene. The police were summoned, and on their arrival, Newman and the other man were found suffering from gunshot wounds. They were transported to the hospital, where Newman was pronounced dead and the other man was hospitalized in stable condition. No motive has yet been established for the gun attack. Ammunition seized in Kingston, 1 man arrested. The St. Andrews South police have arrested a man following the seizure of 16 rounds of ammunition during an operation on Alexander Road, Kingston 13 on Wednesday. The Hunts Bay police say about 5:15 p.m. they were conducting an operation in the area when a group of men was seen. The men reportedly aroused the suspicion of the police. The men were accosted and searched, and a plastic bag was reportedly found in the possession of one of them. The bag was searched and the ammunition allegedly found. PNP reveals a 23-member junior shadow cabinet. In an effort to continue re-energizing the 85-year-old People's National Party, a new junior shadow cabinet was announced yesterday with 23 budding politicians from across the island. While introducing the group, PNP President Mark Golding pleaded with his senior shadow cabinet members to rally around the new generation of youth opposition leaders. We encourage and require there be a synergistic relationship between our senior spokespersons and our juniors in the portfolios they are assigned, and so as to ensure there is a cohesiveness in the messaging and activities, Golding said after announcing the new junior shadow cabinet members at the PNP's St. Andrew headquarters. We think that this augurs well for our party in terms of attracting young people to the People's National Party as a party that cares about young people, respects the young people, and wants to see young people thrive and do well, he said. According to Golding, November 1 was selected as the time to announce the newly appointed junior spokespersons, given that it is the first day of Youth Month. Several of the appointees are also prospective candidates at the local government and the central government levels. Omar Newell is a candidate for Central St. Mary, and Christopher Henry is a candidate for North Central St. Andrew. At the divisional level, Lyden Lewis is slated to represent the Frome Division in Westmoreland, Giovanni Byfield from the Gill Division in St. Mary, Waynet Strachan from East Central St. Andrew for the Hagley Park Division, Amor Hard-Brown from the Livingston Division in Eastern Westmoreland, Kevar Bennett from Mountainside Division in Southwest St. Elizabeth, and James Clark from the Trafalgar Division in Southeast St. Andrew. Golding said the appointments allow the prospective candidates the opportunity to speak on policy issues. We will be providing some training for the junior shadow cabinet spokespersons, and we have developed terms of reference for their activities, and they have also signed an agreement committing to certain things, committing to upholding the party constitution and its code of conduct, to participate in political education training sessions as provided, and to adhere to the terms of reference, Golding said. We put quite a bit of thought into this. It was an innovation in 2021 when we got started, and having gone through 2 years, we have seen where we can adjust to make it stronger and better, and we've been doing that, he said. Golding also thanked the young representatives for stepping forward, putting themselves in the spotlight, and agreeing to service. Case involving SSL Financial Services Commission now set for February 2024. The Supreme Court on Wednesday ordered that existing court proceedings in which Fraud Hit Stocks and Securities Limited is a defendant will remain stayed until the completion of a trial now set for February 2024 to settle whether the Financial Services Commission has the authority to retain management of SSL. The judge alone trial, which is to be held in open court, was on Wednesday set for February 6 to 8, 2024. The matter, which is being heard in the Commercial Division of the Supreme Court, presided over by Justice David Batts, had been set for trial beginning Wednesday and concluding this Friday. However, when the matter resumed Wednesday, attorneys for several of the claimants indicated that disclosure was yet to be made in some instances, while still others said some requests to the FSC and the SSL for information are yet to be responded to. SSL has been under the temporary management of FSC since January after fraud allegations surfaced, indicating that some 40 clients had allegedly been fleeced of a combined $3 billion from accounts. One individual, Jean Ann Panton, has so far been charged and is to be tried in the Criminal Division of the Home Circuit Court. SSL is currently involved in several open court cases, including with Welgen Limited, a business connected to Sprinter star Usain Bolt, Jean Elizabeth Ford, Deborah France, May Eileen Tapper, Jamaica Small Loans and Microfinancing Limited, and Robin DeLisser. Former SSL directors and executives have been listed as additional defendants in amended claims. The FSC, in its statutory rule, had obtained court orders to block a move by the SSL to file for bankruptcy. The Supreme Court subsequently ordered that Kadian Campbell, whom SSL had appointed as a trustee, and its directors be blocked from disposing of or dealing with assets and liabilities in SSL's name or its clients. It further barred them or their proxies from withdrawing, transferring, or dissipating any funds from accounts in its name wherever held. The court order also restrained the SSL and from winding up or dissolving the company and liquidating the assets. Additionally, the order prevented SSL and its trustees and directors from interfering with the FSC's team or their work. This includes the work of the recently appointed temporary manager and to comply with the orders of the FSC, whether from its agents or the temporary manager. On June 2 this year, the Court of Appeal had struck down a request for an extension of time to file a notice and grounds of appeal from SSL and Campbell.